Bahamas tonight, the Northern Edition. And good evening all. I'm Shashina Roll. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce is weighing in on what is potentially good news for the island's business community. This coming after Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, announced details of a new memorandum of understanding related to expired concessions under the Hawksbill Creek Agreement. Cleopatra Murphy reports.
Second Vice President of the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce, Adrian Carey, says chamber officials are ready to work with government and other stakeholders, including the Grand Bahama Port Authority, now that government has agreed to extend concessions related to tax and business license fees under the Hawksbill Creek Agreement for another 20 years with some conditions. Carey says the chamber that represents some 300 licensees supports the idea that there must be investment in return for tax incentives.
Moreover, the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce expects that the application process for existing licensees to continue to enjoy the real property and other tax exemptions will be seamless, simple, timely, and transparent.
Carey says the chamber looks forward to the provisions being put into law. He says they are now eager to see what the legislation entails. Prime Minister Christie announced a new arrangement would shift the investment climate for Grand Bahama in a dynamic way.
One, I think it's invigorating. I think that it's comprehensive. We also believe that the term immediate investments does settle well with a lot of persons, and we look forward to seeing this. It's really a transformational event, so seeing it all come to fruition.
After months of uncertainty, Carey says it gives the business community something to look forward to, and the country's gross domestic product indicators can be enhanced with progress on the island. In addition, he believes it can positively impact employment.
The second pillar to that is the fact that you're able to attract continual FDI, new investors that want to come to Grand Bahama, and the Prime Minister talked about a one-stop shop on the island. I think that that's going to enhance the ease of doing business. I think the ease of doing business in the Bahamas itself could be furthered by what we see having been announced yesterday.
Carey says the chamber now looks forward to working with its licensees going forward and encouraged that they lean on the chamber as further details unfold. Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.
In other news, as the 2017 general election draws near, another appeal is being made to Bahamians to register to vote. Sabrina Brown reports.
Voter registration drive is in full swing at the Parliamentary Registration Department. Come July, the current register will expire, and Assistant Parliamentary Commissioner Reno Smith is urging eligible Bahamians to take advantage of this slow period and register now for the 2017 general election. He clears up a misconception about the registration form being used.
We have a form that people in the past were misinterpreting as an application to register. You don't need to apply to register in the Bahamas. And the reason we have this form is because there's a shortage of space here, and we don't wish to ask anybody their personal information openly, so we give them the opportunity to write it down on a form, and that way when they're administering the oath or signing the register, nobody needs to know their personal information like their home number or cell number or where they live.
Smith says the passport is the main document needed to register. He says some changes have been made to make the process much easier.
Initially, we were saying we were going to use the passports that would have been expired after 1 year, but we've been advised to use it even if it's expired longer than a year, because we know that many persons have applied for the new passport, and to date they have not received the new passport. So we'll accommodate those.
But there are other documents that can be used for the registration process.
If you don't have a passport, bring us your birth certificate and some other supporting documents, like your mother's passport or something like that.
Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
Well, a big celebration held in Bimini over the weekend as that community paused to say thanks to an outstanding educator. Italia Hall was there.
It was a grand celebration for Daphne Sawyer, who has dedicated some 42 years to the education profession. Sawyer spent her entire time at the Bimini All-Age School, which is now the Louise MacDonald High School. She's described as a good teacher, mother, and friend, but most of all a virtuous woman worthy of praise. Principal of the Louise MacDonald High School, Wesley Roll, called Sawyer a strong woman that he could always depend on.
An organization or an institution, when it gets out of whack, these are the people that brings everything back into equilibrium.
Island Administrator Oscar Monroe says Sawyer has made a lasting impression on the world.
As a teacher and administrator, she has been instrumental in formulating curriculum, establishing special programs for children with varying disabilities, with varying difficulties, and making the school a special place.
Guest speaker Pastor Joel Roll says Sawyer is a nation builder who has given much to the island of Bimini.
She was always a supporter, and if she had something to say to you, it wasn't said in a way that was confrontational. She tried to do her best to see that the program was carried out in a smooth and honest way.
The honoree's brother Marvin Roll, who is also the district education officer for West Grand Bahama and Bimini, says his sister was always a mother figure to him.
Daphne is a classic first child. She's the classic A personality, and so she had to be a teacher. It was inevitable because she taught and trained us in the home, and it was only inevitable for her to follow in Mommy's footsteps and Daddy's footsteps.
Teaching is my calling. It is like fire shut up in my bones. When I feel like quitting, I can't. I just have to continue. My inspirations come from the Holy Spirit. It is God, His Word, and prayer that makes the difference.
It's Talia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Stay with us. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, continues right after this.